Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center at our favorite time of the week. Again, we got more of the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves right on the table and right here on the table in front of me. It's going so well.
Like last time.
All right, first stuff for this video, got several OTF out the front knives to talk about. Not all of them automatic, however. We have just expanded our selection of the Remette Knives RT-Swordfish. This is manual out the front, and as you can see, they're fed by gravity, essentially. Gravity knife as you use them. There are two blade shapes here. We've got this clip point that you can see on this black version right here, and the Tonto-esque blade as well, which is not compound ground, as you can see. In fact, it's almost drop point-esque in its character. Like, it's got very gentle transition right here, a little bit of an arc to the drop here at the top. That'd probably be the version that I would carry if I were to carry one of these, because like drop points after all. These are coming in around 280, plus or minus a little bit. Some of them, this black finished one gets up to about 316. So they range depending on which finish you get and on which inlay you get. This one, actually, what is the technical name for this one? I just call it green carbon fiber. There is this right here, more of the red, white, and blue carbon fiber. I've actually got another one here off screen, copper swirl carbon fiber. Lots of cool options to take a look at. So the handles themselves are titanium. This has a cool texture on it right here. Catches the light and gives you a little bit of tactile interest. And you operate it by this sliding switch right here, and you can see these wings spreading in and out, and those are the items that lock into the blade and keep it open or closed. So just push it up and it'll slide in. And then when it's time to deploy it, you can either just point it down, or you can kind of fling it as well. Push the slide up, and it doesn't really work too well in this type of motion. You have to kind of go against or laterally. There it is. to the handle itself, rather than inline, kind of side to side, and that works pretty nicely. M390 steel on these, just over 3 inches long, so it's nice and capable, in addition to being a very cool item. Next up, we've got the 3rd generation Combat Troodon from Microtech. Several new variants have just hit the site. Here are 2 of them. These are big OTF automatics this time, just over 4-inch long blades. The steel here is M390 MK, which as of right now is still proprietary to Microtech, I believe. They've certainly helped develop it with Bowler as a more highly precise version of M390. Its tolerances are far more exact than your garden variety M390, basically.
Kind of funny to call M390 garden variety.
It's very true, because it holds an edge super, super well thanks to its powder metallurgy and metallurgical construction. There you go. Big 4-inch blades. You got the ones I have here. You've got the buoy blade. It's a big clip point with some black finishes here, and the Tonto right here has almost like a bead blasted gray finish, not just on the handle, but on the blade as well. I don't know if it's actually bead blasted from a technical standpoint, but it has that kind of, I say the word chalky, not as any sort of negative, but it has that sort of chalky texture to it, meaning it's not gonna slip out of your hands. It gives you grip, essentially. The gray is a cool look. They've shown this on the new versions of the Ultratech ZBP as well, and there's something about it. It feels different without being shouty. I kind of like that. 486 for these versions right here. These are not ZBP versions, but you do have the new internal firing mechanism and the crud cutter in the slide right here. It means it's very easy to use and very consistent in its operation. Just feels really, really good. And plenty of length there working length to get bigger jobs done if you want to use this as an EDC. This one being a little bit of a wider blade than some of their smaller models, while not being a thicker blade, has maybe a little bit better slicing geometry than some of the other options in the Microtech lineup. Let's do another auto real quick. We have the new ProTech, new for this year, the Vero engineering collaboration Synapse. This is a new version of this we have in stock. $315. You've got a almost 3.5-inch drop point blade, MagnaCut blade steel here, so it's stainless in addition to being very tough and holding an edge quite nicely. Aluminum construction on the back, wraps around the spine to connect to a linen micarta front scale in this case. It's technically a green, but it's kind of got that like ruddy olive type of complexion to it, and feels pretty decent in the hand too. Plenty of length here for bigger hands, whether you want to sit in this scooped out section right there, or if you want to choke up around the pivot to give yourself a little extra breathing room, you've got a big old handle there to work with. And a great generic drop point blade shape. Generic's the wrong word. A great general purpose drop point blade shape going on. Signature cutout or milled section there on the back. Push button automatic. Nice action going on. We've got a milled pocket clip, right side tip up only in this case, and a small hidden lanyard point here in the, not backspacer, but the backspacer section right there. A couple of these at least are still in stock at the time we're filming this, and more should hopefully be coming in of this and or other varieties very soon. I've got a couple QSP knives to talk about now, and stuff with like a little bit of a different flavor to them. A little bit outside the norm. We'll have some more QSPs peppered throughout, but we're gonna start with these two. This is the Beetle, a liner locking flipper. Comes in about $78, and it's got a very distinctive red blade on this case, but other flavors are available, and that color is drawn into the oversized and decorative pivot, front and back, and the liners, which also has that color matching liner lock, as you can see right there. The blade steel is 14C28N, so it's stainless, it's nice and tough, and it can take a really fine edge very easily, hold it pretty decently too. And because this is single-edged, but it has that kind of look of a double-edged dagger, the grind here at the back basically acts like a big swedge and just removes extra material that might get in the way of some cuts, makes it a bit more efficient. So it's not just an aesthetic upgrade right there. And you could use it pretty effectively too, and not just because of the blade, but the handle here gives you a ton of real estate to work with. It's just big enough for my slightly larger than average hands in terms of length, but thanks to the width especially, it feels like a very substantial handle that you could really push into some heavier cuts if you wanted to. It's got that, I just did a mental thing right there. I put my thumb up here at the back, and because it was narrowed down, I thought I'd cut myself there for a second. But no, the sharpened edge is over here. But man, that's funny what your brain tells you is happening sometimes. Deep carry pocket clip, tail mounted there. It is reversible, so you could go either way with it. And the flipping action, quite nice. Ball bearings in the pivot, nice crisp detent. The other thing I like about this little detail, in addition to the aesthetic niceness of the that pivot right there with that really cool surround, is it's essentially creating like two cupped sections right around the pivot, and that feels really natural and really satisfying in a pinch grip like so. That's pretty cool. Next up from QSP, we have the Chefmaster, another liner locking flipper at $67 for this one. And it's interesting because we just did an episode of our weekend FAQ series. It was just last week, right, where we talked about folding chef knives. And despite the name here, this is kind of a folding chef knife, but not quite. And I'll get to that here in a little bit. Yes, you have a big sheep's foot style blade right here, about 3.2 inches long in this case, 14C28N blade steel, just like the Beetle we just looked at, and different flavors of G10 for the handles. This is the ivory G10, ivory and black. I think looks really nice. We've got a deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible and it's pocketed. Comes with a filler plate there on the front. And the screws themselves aren't completely flush, but they're very low profile and domed, so shouldn't create any snagging potential at all. Should be pretty nice. Liner lock and flipper, as mentioned. Also got thumb studs for opening action. Take your pick. It's about a 3.5 finger grip for me, but you have a large finger choil right there with an unguarded edge that lets you get right up there, and that feels actually pretty satisfying in my hand right there. I could really, push that tip hard into some material. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting from it when I pull it in that position. Nice full flat grind, relatively thin, not super thin on the blade. And yes, you could do some like surface work, like for instance on a cutting board, but because of the flipper tab and this really prominent finger guard that's created as a result, you'll kind of have to make sure you're working like on the edge of a cutting board. If something's like out here and you try to get in, your flipper tab's gonna kind of get in the way of making full contact with the blade or using the full length of the blade in contact with the cutting board. So keep that in mind. But if you just like a big, beefy looking sheep's foot style blade, this certainly has a lot of that going on for it. And the quality on QSP stuff is always quite nice. Next up, the larger versions of this knife actually appeared on that FAQ video as well. This is the mini Momo coming in. This is a fancier version of it, coming in at about $249, which if you're not into that price, the entire Momo series, let me just sort the lower priced ones here. The lowest priced mini Momo comes in at about $75. So you can get this shape with more pedestrian material, shall we say, for a lot less money. But this is a more premium option right here. We've got M390 for the blade. Horizontal grain finish gives it more of like that custom knife vibe to it. Just looks and feels really nice. 3.2 inches long on the blade. Shredded carbon fiber for the handles and a Timascus bolster on each side and on the back spacer as well. Looks really nice. Milled titanium pocket clip screwed in from the inside, so it's nice and clean. Inset liner lock with a very nice cutout here for a kind of chunkier lock mate-up position, basically. Are these actually titanium liners? Don't know for sure, but I would venture to say that's a strong possibility. We might be able to find out, actually. Nope, I'm guessing it's steel because I do get magnet right there. So probably not titanium, but it looks pretty nice anyway. That liner is going to be nice and easy to operate thanks to a matching kind of scoop out in the front. And it's going to give you a larger lockup contact patch than on a thinner liner because you got this chunkier piece right here mating up to the steel right there. Like all Momos, it is a front flipper, and like all front flippers, they and I have a complicated relationship, but this one seems to work pretty fine, actually. So that's quite nice. Now, the reason this showed up when talking about folding kitchen-style knives is you've got this, inward parabola here or inward curve for the handle here, matching up with a sort of opposite curve on the blade, and that gives you some knuckle clearance and allows you to get down there on surfaces really nicely, especially when you're doing slicing moves like this, and especially on the larger one with about the 4 or so inch blade. This one's a little smaller, but you can still do it, and you can get full contact with the cutting board if you pinch the sides of the handles right there. That'll work quite nicely. Really cool. How about some actual kitchen knives? For a change, you've got White River Knives, American-made company with a new 2-piece set of the Liong Ma kitchen knives. I believe we've shown the individual pieces before, but this is a matched set. We have, what are the two sizes actually? We've got a 7.5 inch and 5 inch chef and utility knife blade respectively, coming in with MagnaCut steel on these at a price of about $475 for the set. The extra toughness of MagnaCut is really nice on a very thin blade like this. And of course, you're not gonna have to stop to strop up the edge too often because it should hold it pretty well. And it's stainless, which is cool. The handles, I think, are the most interesting part for me on these. We've got Richlight here, but the shape is a little bit different. Let's see if we can get an angle here from the butt. It's sort of a hybrid between like a traditional Asian Wa style handle, that octagonal handle, and something more kind of ergonomically inspired. It kind of flows between those two states really nicely, and it feels really good. And the balance is perfect on these knives too. The front has this nice thumb bevel right here, which encourages you to grip right where you're supposed to grip a chef knife, making for excellent, excellent balance. The rock on the cutting board is quite nice. It's a very, likes to rock a little bit past the heel right there, but that's going to make it very comfortable on repeated uses when you're chopping up, mincing up a lot of herbs and garlic and that sort of thing. Just easier on the hands, if you know what I mean, or easier on the wrists. And then the 5-inch utility blade right here, same style of handle, just scaled down. Same style of blade really too, and just scaled down. Yes, you could do rocky stuff on the cutting board here. You've got less finger clearance or knuckle clearance, but you could do it with a pinch, or just use it as a smaller utility slicer, pull cutter, and that sort of thing. Very cool set. Next up from White River, we have got the Trailhead Trapper. 2 handle variants. There is a rich light version, just like the kitchen knives we just looked at, for about $250. We have this $300 version with a marbled carbon fiber, or they are rather evocatively calling it carbon fiber burl handles. So kind of, I like that terminology for this. It's not an actual, uniquely different than marbled carbon fiber. That's what it is. But something about calling it carbon fiber burl, I like that. It connects like modern high tech with kind of old school heritage materials, and that's kind of describes Smith and Son, or I almost said Smith and Sons. White River. White River is making some knives for Smith and Sons, I should say. But I like that connotation that the use of the word burl there implies. This is, however, a all premium, all modern material knife. 3 3/8 inch clip point blade with S35 VN steel for modern powder metal performance. Full flat grind on that. Very acute tip with a little bit of belly. The angles of the blade here work out really nicely, especially if you consider like the classic uses of a trapper slip joint like this. Because of that downward angle, when you're getting into kind of smaller game critters and that sort of thing, trying to get the fur, or field dressing or any of that sort of thing, you have to bend your wrist less to kind of get in there, and yet you've still got the utility of the belly and an acute tip to go along with it to get into smaller places. So that's pretty cool. But for the modern individual who may not be fur trapping or trading, you have to bend your wrist less when you're using it to open boxes and that sort of thing. Super nice flush back spacer right there. Feels really premium. Nice snappy half stop. Easy opening when you want to get at that blade. A couple more traditional inspired things, a couple more QSPs. New versions of the Hedgehog are on the site right now. This one right here, $86, sub 3-inch 14C28N blade. Kind of a almost like a bull-nosed canoe style blade is the impression I get from this. Full height hollow grind, nicely finished, dual fullers for opening, red resin for the handles here. It's not actually like Kieranite, but it has that type of vibe to it. Stainless steel bolsters, nice QSP triangle there at the pivot. Adjustable pivot too, like this is screwed together as opposed to pinned. Same could be said for the White River we just looked at as well. Nice half stop here as well. Really snappy close and very satisfying feel overall. Yeah, that's really nice. 3.5 finger grip for me, but feels substantial. Sort of feels like you could get some good work done if you're into that non-locking vibe, but you want something with some meat on its bones. There you go. Next up, the Mustang. Similar old school vibes, but we actually have a mid-mounted lock back here. So if you want more security than a slip joint provides, here you go. This one's much more premium in its steel as well. M390 in this case. About 3 1/8 of an inch long. So the price on this with the other adornments here is bumped up to about that $200 price point. The handles are really spiced up too. For one thing, you've got desert ironwood, which you don't see as much in production knives, generally speaking, but you do see it more on like handmade fixed blades and handmade products in general. But you do see it on some production-made stuff. The cool thing about it is it's basically naturally stabilized. They don't need to undergo any kind of process to for it to be very stable over time. And you've also got mammoth inlays front and back in the bolster there. Very, very cool. Like the Hedgehog, it's got a substantial enough feel in the hand where you could do some heavier work. And the blade backs that up too. This is not a shrimpy, skimpy blade thickness. You've got a little more meat on its bones for heavier pushing cuts, a little more indiscriminate use. Mid-mounted lockback is going to keep that nice and secure. Yeah, there you go. No pocket clip, but it does come with an sheath right here. Leather with a snap, and it is capable of doing both horizontal or vertical belt carry thanks to this nice loop here at the back. Next up, a couple of fixed blades. The first one, I've been trying to kind of wrap my head around it a little bit. This is the North Mountain Blade Nemoto Shura fixed blade. It's $280. It feels super, super premium. ZDP 189 core to the blade, which it's cool to see that material still being used. Very high edge retention. Horizontal grain for a super premium feel. Crowned and polished spine all the way around. Again, super premium feeling. Handles are red and orange ceramic carbon fiber with red liners. Everything about it, even the small file or a little bit of file work here at the spine, super premium. The ergonomics are a little bit different. This is not a kind of, clearly by its aesthetics, not a take it out into the woods and bash on it type of fixed blade. It's more everyday carry precision. It's not a self-defense knife. It's not, I hesitate to even call it like a hard use fixed blade, and that maybe comes down to how it feels in my hand. Yes, there's some thickness here, but it feels more just general use, I guess. The grip that actually feels the most comfortable to me, I'm using this front hole for a pinch grip, and that feels pretty natural. That feels pretty secure. This, a standard kind of hammer grip or even a saber grip, a little bit less so. Certainly usable, but that feels at home like so to me. Anyway, your mileage may vary. Sheath on this is Kydex, as you can see right there. Oops, there we go. Comes with a folded over J-style loop here, also made of Kydex for standard belt carry. Haven't checked this out yet, but let me grab the tech lock I've got over here to see if you could throw one of those on there if you want a little bit different. Yep, these two holes right here will accept a tech lock, so you could carry this with one of those vertically or horizontally quite easily. Next up, we have the Prandi Cortel fixed blade, kind of a bushcraft and outdoor knife. About 165 for these. I really like the shape overall. The drop point has a bit of character, partially because of that rising grind line here. Gives it a little bit more forward motion, which I like. Comes in about 4 1/4 inch for that drop point. What's the thickness there? About 1/8 of an inch thick, I would say. Let's check the spec. 0.118, just under, so about. Qualifies. Two different blade finishes. You got the two-tone right here with the ground flats and more of a natural finished or a heat treat scale finish on the stand or the rest of the blade. You can get this. You can get to these also with a more finished look if you wish. Handles are a little bit small for me, if I'm honest. You can see kind of I'm right on that pseudo beak there right at the back. It's not going to get in the way if I needed to use this, but for my hands, which are again slightly larger than average, could use a little bit more. Medium to average or smaller size hands, I think this would be really nice. G10 for the handles, bolted on, as you can see right there, a nice kind of facet going on, but that doesn't really affect the ergonomics, at least right there. Protruding pommel there at the back for bashing. The edges of these could maybe be eased a little bit more. I'm feeling that just a little bit under the hand, but overall the design feels really nice. Steel is 420 MOV, which is basically X50 MOC. It's a kitchen knife steel essentially. It's not going to hold an edge super well, but the thing you can say about it is it's very tough. So if you're using this outdoors and you want a tough stainless, this could be an option for you. Just make sure you know how to field sharpen, basically. Comes with a leather sheath with a standard belt loop there. A few different handle flavors are available. Take your pick. You can see them all at the link below, of course. I made a mistake, Thomas.
What else is new?
So normally all the blades are facing that way because that's where the logos are. But whenever there's a Mora on the table, it's the other way and people get annoyed, but that's where the logo is. That's where the logo is on the Prandi too. Sorry, folks.
Such a disappointment.
I'm sorry, I'll try to maintain better professionalism in the next one. How about a couple more autos? We've got Bear Ops, a couple more M390 blades. I don't remember them using M390 before, but we got a couple here. This is the KATAKT 2 auto, $132, US made, but with M390 steel here, about 3.2 inches long almost. Nice kind of ovoid drop point shape. I like the rise and then fall to the spine here, gives it some nice character. Not super thin, but thin enough, and a high flat grind. This should be a pretty nice slicer day to day. And I do see this more of as like an EDC auto, less of an like a tactical feeling auto, despite the Bear Ops name. It just, yeah, that's the vibe I get. Handles are aluminum, some contrasting color on the pivot, or a pivot collar and back spacer right there. Reversible deep carry pocket clip to round things out. Yes, this is a crossbar lock, but it is an automatic crossbar lock. As soon as you pull back on that bar, you've got that going on. Finger safe closing action, and it is pretty easy to do one-handed. Some crossbar locking autos are less easy to do one-handed, but as you can see, that is quite nice. Just don't expect to be able to flick it all the way closed. What if it worked there all of a sudden? That'd have been really funny. Anyway, it feels precise. The tip feels very pointable, and yet you can still get a nice solid grip on the knife overall. It's not super thin. It's got some meat on its bones. One more, kind of similar, you can say similar things about this. It's just a slightly different shape. This is the KATAKT 1 auto. Maybe I should have put them in order. I didn't look at the names actually. $140 for this. The blade is slightly larger, 3.3. So as you can see there, ever so slightly, but it's pretty much the same shape. A little bit less rise to the drop point, or to the spine there, and a bit more of an aggressive downward angle to the blade, in addition to the difference of the G10 right there. Definitely points forward a little more easy. This might lean a little more tactical as a result. A little less natural feeling in a choked up gorilla grip than on the KATAKT 2 right there. That works better for me, for my hand anyway. Same type of thing going on with the crossbar lock auto there though. Easy to close one-handed, nice to deploy when you're ready to cut. This next knife is purely very tactical. This is the Stroup Knives Mark II Combat knife, fixed blade. $300 for this with a 4-inch blade. Very acute, narrow, tapering blade. Not super thin, so it still has strength, still has meat on its bones, yet it is, built for kind of discrete entries and exits, perhaps. We'll go for that, of whatever it needs, whatever you're doing that needs cutting, shall we say. Steel is 1095, high carbon, so very tough for everyday use. Has a Cerakote, I believe. Yep, flat dark earth Cerakote blade for keeping the rust away, since it is a carbon steel after all. Technically, it says double-edged on the site, but this isn't really sharp back here. Yeah, that's not sharp at all, actually. Keep that in mind. G10 for the handles, aggressive beak here at the back. I believe primarily intended for an inverted grip like this. Keeps it from slipping out of your grip when engaging the knife in that fashion. But it works fine in a forward grip too if you're using this for more mundane purposes. A few different colors can be had at this point in time. They come with this Kydex sheath right here with that discrete carry clip right there. J-hook on the end to keep it from slipping off the belt if you're carrying it that way. Would work nicely inside the waistband. Maybe a little large for pocket carry, but could be done if you wish. And last but not least, a few more QSPs to round things out. And I wanted to make sure all the reverse tantos were at the end of the video. So
come on, man.
We've got the Emu, a crossbar locking knife, 3¼ inch, 14C28N blade. $69 right now with this green micarta. And few companies have been able to really pull off a convincing feeling flipper with crossbar locks. QSP is one of them, however. It has, a nice feel. It's not mushy. It almost feels like it's got a crisp detent. It flips nicely. Of course, it's a crossbar lock, so you can just wrist flick open and closed if you wish. You've got that finger safe closing action since your fingers never cross the path of the blade. You've got more options with the blade cutout right there too. You could reverse flick or just do a thumb open as well. All will work quite nicely. And it feels like a very blue collar type of knife too. It's got a rugged finish with the stonewashed finish here, so you can use it without scratches kind of detracting from the looks. And it's got that micarta for a little extra grip. It's got a aggressive enough profile that you can push really nicely, but it's gonna slice decently too. You've got thin enough and a high flat grind that I like that combo very much from what I'm seeing here, geometry wise. Similar story to the Chefmaster in terms of the pocket clip. It is pocketed and deep carry with low profile domed screws. I don't see that snagging in any realistic scenario. Yeah, that's really nice. One more reverse Tonto for Thomas to get excited about, the Phoenix. Bigger knife, 3 3/4 inch blade, D2 steel, so it's gonna hold an edge really nice for the price, and the price is $50 for a almost 4-inch D2 flipper with G10 handles. That's a pretty good combo. This is the tan, there's green, black. Actually, is that black? What is that? Yeah, black. A few different handle options, all with this D2 blade. This one is two-tone, not all of them are two-tone. Full-length liners and not shrimpy liners. There's a bit of meat on these bones. Maybe that should be the title of this. Them's meat on them, their bones. We'll work on that. If you've made it to the end of the episode and you're hearing us now, you can refer to the title and see what we actually went with. But anyway, big working knife here too. Plenty of handle length there, even if you've got bigger hands. Some nice details though, so it's not just a boring utilitarian tool. I like the little extra going on there with the pivot. Let's check out the flipping action. It's nice. It works very well. Texture from almost like a corn cob, like a squished corn cob thing going on with the handles there. Reversible clip, not quite deep carry, pocketed, slightly more proud screws on these, so you might have to push a little more, and depending on how thick your pants are, because this doesn't feel like a super wide opening clip, so keep that in mind. But there you go. That is the Phoenix from QSP. And that is the last knife for this episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments of these bad boys, or bad ladies. Whatever. Let me know what you thought of the knives down in the comments, and if you want to get your hands on any of them, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. Don't forget, we now offer Sezzle as a payment option, so some of these more expensive knives can be a little more manageable for you. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, so you can earn some free money on your future purchases. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.